Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We are so excited to be able to connect with you, our GT Church family, our GT Church community. I have both pastors Scott Doggle from our GTSM ministry and
practicing social distancing.
Practicing social distancing, that's right.
It doesn't look like it on the screen, but we are.
But we promise we are.
Yep.
And then I also have with me Pastor Candy Fritz from our GT Kids ministry.
Yes,
So, hello. I'm so excited to have them with me today because we just wanted to take a second and say hello, connect with you, because right now it can feel very isolating. It can feel like, you're just alone in something that you're not alone in. And so we're taking this time to say hello. How's it going? We hope that you are all practicing safety and following along to government recommendations. I know we definitely are. But we're excited to share with you today some resources so that you can stay connected with our GT Church community over the next couple of weeks or until this situation resolves itself. So we're going to talk a lot about that stuff today. I am barely touching the ground here. So if I accidentally spin all the way around, just let it happen. It's the fun I'll have for today. But just wanted to take some time and remind you that if you missed Pastor Brian's message from this past Sunday, I encourage you to go back and watch it. You can view it on our website. You can watch it on our app, on our Facebook page. You can also listen to it on our GT Church podcast, which you can download wherever you listen to your podcasts. But the message was extremely encouraging. He encouraged us to choose faith and trust over fear. And there were a couple of things that stood out to me personally. If you guys want to chat about it, I would love to. But there are some things that stood out to me personally. One of the things was that he was in a boat Jesus was in a boat with his disciples.
Jesus, not Pastor Brian.
Yes, that's right. Pastor Brian he was here on the stage, and he was telling us about how Jesus, thank you for the clarification, Jesus himself was in a boat with his disciples in the middle of the storm. And in that situation, his disciples still felt fear, right? And that is something that I took away from that in the middle of this storm that we are all weathering together, feeling fear is natural. The disciples themselves literally had Jesus in their boat. They walked with him. They saw him perform the miracles with their own eyes. Like they had the most tangible evidence, more than we have aside from, reading the Bible right now, but they have the most tangible evidence, and they still, in the middle of that storm, felt fear. And so fear is normal. It's okay, because we know how loving and steadfast our God is, but feeling that fear is normal, and it's okay. It's totally okay to be feeling fear.
Yeah, absolutely. I made a joke when I came in today. I went to say hi to Candy, and we got within 8 feet of each other, and I took a step back because I thought, oh, no, you're in my bubble. I drove through McDonald's on the way here because I needed my Coke. And I handed the person who worked there my credit card, and I thought I should have a glove on, and you should have a glove on, and Lord Jesus, please let that be sanitized when it gets back.
That's right.
Yeah, it's very normal, very normal.
And even when you're practicing the safety recommendations, there's still this part of us because there's a lot that's unknown. Yeah. And I think that's where the fear came from for the disciples. Like, despite what they knew, despite what they saw, they still felt that fear because it was so unknown to them.
Yeah, I was thinking this morning that for our students and kids, lots of things in their lives are unknown. They go to new things all the time, and as adults, this is no one has ever experienced this before.
That's right.
Like, at least not while we're alive. No one knows what this is like, especially in this day and age when, hundreds of years ago, they had this sort of thing. They had no way to communicate to the masses. You had no choice whether you lived or died. There was no way to keep yourself safe. And more importantly, there was no way to connect with anyone outside of that.
That's right. And
we now live in a society where the fact that you're talking to us now is amazing that we have set up, for such a time as this, and in our area, what we work with the students and the demographic we work with, I've been calling my students on a daily basis asking for advice. Like, hey, what's the best way to get this out there?
Yeah,
what's the best way that students...
That's right. Their generation is most prepared for this kind of communication,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So we can definitely take some pointers from them.
Yes, but also in the whole idea of the disciples sitting in the boat, like, it was a new situation for them, too.
Yeah.
Like, they had no... Had they been in storms before? Probably, but probably not that bad, or they wouldn't have freaked out. Some of them were fishermen. What's really amazing to me is that a few of the disciples were actually fishermen. So they were used to being in storms, and yet they were in a storm that freaked them out. So how bad does a storm have to be?
That's right, yeah.
When, let's talk about, how bad does a storm have to be when the CDC says, this is important? Like, okay, we got to pay attention. Yeah.
That's right.
Right, and for kids, they're not communicating on social media with their friends, and they're not going to each other's house right now because of the CDC guidelines. So for them, they're in their house, and you're probably looking for different ways to keep them busy and to keep them occupied, and they are fearful.
Yeah.
And so right now, it's really helping them understand that they can trust God no matter what during this time.
That's right.
So for me, our schools closed Friday for my kids. It was midday Saturday when I realized this was going to be long. And so I don't know what happened at your house, and maybe you just can feel like the rest of us, but the cleaning started Saturday morning in my house. It was like, no, we have to clean. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And my daughter is an extrovert and is dying a little bit inside every day.
Yeah.
And my son is a little bit more introverted, and as long as the Wi-Fi still works, his video games are fine, and so he's okay. But it's been,
And then you have people like me on my extreme where I don't have children. I'm literally, so it's like literally everyone, we're in this boat together. We're all in the same boat in the sense that we're living in the same climate, but our experiences are definitely different. And that's why we are coming to you guys live today, so we can talk a little bit about those resources that we have available, regardless of your situation at home during this time. But the second thing that really stood out to me about the story from Mark 4 that Pastor Brian shared on Sunday was that we are in his boat. Right? So despite the fear that the disciples felt during that storm, they remembered whose boat they were in, and they called on him for help. And he showed them his power in a way that they had never seen it before. And so I think in this time, it's very important for us to do the exact same thing.
Right.
And to expect the same thing. Right? Because asking and expecting are, two different things. So believe that and just lean into him and remember that we are in his boat.
Right.
That none of this is surprising to him. While we may feel like we're in a time of uncertainty and everything feels scary and unknown, we should never fear trusting an unknown future to a known God. That was the bottom line from Sunday, right? And so we just need to remember during this time that we are in his boat. He never leaves us. Never forsake. We are always with him. He is always with us. And so we just need to remember that during this time, right? And so if you guys did, again, if you missed that message, please dive into Mark 4. Do a study for yourself. Do a study with your families. Dive into Mark 4 and go back and watch that message from Pastor Brian this past Sunday. You can, again, watch it on our website, our app, our Facebook pages, and you can listen to it on our podcast. So how incredible is it to be reminded that we have this all-knowing, loving God and that none of this is surprising? I know I find a lot of comfort in that, right? So here at GT, one of our core values is that our methods will change, but the message never will. And what a better time to be experiencing that than right now, right? This is literally exactly what we're looking at. So while over the next couple of weeks, church may look a little bit different, God's word remains the same. It remains steadfast. It remains true. And so we are going to be doing our best as a church to continue to bring you the word every Sunday. We have worked with our teams to curate content to stay connected throughout the week. So there are several ways that we can stay connected. We're going to get into students and kids in just a little bit, but for our GT church community that's all over the place, there are two main ways that I'm going to encourage you in staying connected with us. First, make sure you join us for our live Sunday services every Sunday, 9 a.m., 11 a.m. And you can join us on our GT Live platform, or on our Facebook page. That's where the broadcast will happen live. And if you can't join us live, because as you guys have already mentioned, I mean, our home situations are different for everybody, and you just may not be able to join us live, and that's okay. Don't worry, these broadcasts will be recorded and available for you just like every other Sunday on our website, on our Facebook page, on our app, on our podcast. I don't think I can say that enough. Everywhere that it's going to be available. But if you can join us live, whether you're on GT Live, whether you're on Facebook, I encourage you to engage in community. We have a chat feature on GT Live. We have the comments section on our Facebook page. Definitely engage. Let us know that you're there. We would love to pray with you if you have specific prayer requests. If you're worshiping with us, let us know what your favorite songs are, what lyrics are touching your heart during that time. And if you have any questions about the message, we have chat hosts that will be managing both our GT Live and our Facebook pages during our live broadcasts and monitoring the comments on Facebook for the replay all the time. We are there with you to answer any questions you have. So that's the first and most important thing that I can encourage you guys to do. So please make sure, join us on Sundays, 9 a.m., 11 a.m. And we did, as a team, take a look at some of the messages that we had already scheduled over the next couple of weeks. And I just want to take a second and tell you guys and testify to how incredible God is. We looked at these messages over the next couple of weeks, and as we were discussing it as a team, we realized these messages are perfect for this time.
This is great. Yeah. Yep.
We don't need to change our programming. It's perfect. So we will be continuing with our Handcrafted series this Sunday. Pastor Scott Kramer. Not this guy, but Pastor Scott Kramer and Eric from our Kutztown location, they are going to be preaching on abilities and on personality.
Yep.
So if you missed the first 2 weeks of our Handcrafted series, you can go back. Where can you watch it?
You can watch it on our website.
Or you could always go to GT Live or anywhere where podcasts are sold or available.
Not sold.
Not sold. No, we give it away.
Downloaded.
They are where they're download your podcast.
That's right. So you can watch it on our website, on our app.
Actually, you can listen to it on a podcast, technically.
Yeah, don't watch it. That's weird. That's not.
I mean, you could stare at
the screen.
The screen.
While listening.
Would not be fun.
It clicks.
You can listen to it while you do your wash.
You can.
Yeah.
Yep. While you're cooking dinner.
Yeah.
You know, all those things.
Yes.
So definitely check that out. Get caught up on the Handcrafted series before this Sunday. They're going to be bringing an incredible word. We're really excited about that. And then the other main way that we feel like you can stay the most connected to us is to follow along on all of our social media pages, specifically on our Facebook page and on our Instagram. You can find us at GT Church Online. That's our handle everywhere. Anywhere you can, any social media pages, that's our handle, GT Church Online. But on our Facebook and on our Instagrams, we're going to actually be, just one Instagram.
There's only one.
There's one main GT Church Instagram. But on our Facebook and on our Instagram, we're going to be posting some reading plans and reflection questions that will coincide with the messages that are preached on Sundays, so that you guys have a way to take what you hear on Sunday and use it throughout the week. I mean, you guys have opportunities and times as you're working from home, as you're at home, whatever your situation is, we wanted to give you a way to take what you hear on Sunday and apply it throughout the week. So we'll be posting that on our Facebook pages, on our just one page. Come on, Melissa, get it together. We'll be posting it on our Facebook page, on our Instagram. And we encourage you to follow along. And on those posts, you can continue to engage in community. Comment below. Let us know what your thoughts are on what you're reading. If you have questions, feel free to post them, because then on Wednesdays at noon, we're bringing back our Wisdom Wednesdays. If you followed along with us in January for our Wisdom series, I went live every Wednesday, just like we're doing today at noon. The pastors from that Sunday will talk about the material that they've provided in terms of reflection questions and scripture and reading plans. And because we are in our Handcrafted series, we talked a lot about the Shape book, where you can discover your purpose. There are a lot of great tools that while you are at home and have this time, continue to dive in and figure out what God's purpose is for your life. So we're going to be encouraging that over the next couple of weeks, which is really great. And and more importantly, we also recognize that there are a lot of smaller churches, a lot of other churches that aren't as fortunate as us to have the technology and equipment that we have. So please share this with your friends, with your family. You can invite them to join us to our live services on Sundays at 9 and 11. We do have events set up on our Facebook page, so you can click that you're going, let everybody know, and then invite your friends and family to that, especially for those who unfortunately aren't able to connect with their home church. We would love to invite them to join us in our community as well. So those are the resources that we have available as a church as a whole. I'm going to pass it off. Scott, talk to us a little bit about what the students can do during this time to stay connected.
Yeah, so this is a new reality for all of us, at least for the foreseeable future for the next coming weeks. And so one of the things I think I'd first share is we've kind of adopted this philosophy that our Facebook page is for parents and our Instagram is for students. And so we're going to be using Facebook. It's at GT Students, GT Student Ministries is Facebook. GT.SM is Instagram. Couldn't grab both of them. So GT Student Ministries is Facebook, and that's what we're going to be leveraging. That's what we're going to be leveraging in order to communicate with our parents. And so any updates to programming that we have, which I'm going to share about in a minute or two, we're going to push it out there. It's going to be promoted there. It's going to start there. And then on Instagram is where we're used to leverage and push out to students.
I'm going to tell you something. I've been following along on your Instagram over the past couple of days. It's awesome. It's so fun. You went live from some ice cream place somewhere. So, like, seriously, follow along. This guy's funny.
Yeah, so when you have to social distance, but your daughter has to get her driving hours in. So my grandfather, when I was a kid, used to do this. He would say, let's go for ice cream, and he would drive an hour away to the Poconos to get ice cream. And so they'd go to this ice cream place. And so Saturday I said, hey, Mar, I've got to record this video. You need to get your driving in. Why don't you drive, let's go, we want to go for ice cream. And Mara, if you say ice cream, she's in. And so, so we drove a 3 hours round trip so she could get her hours in. And and so I have friends from Ohio who then chimed into that saying, if you come visit us, they'll get all her hours in. And I'm not sure that's social distancing, but so we're using Facebook at GT Student Ministries for our parents, and we're using Instagram at GT.SM for our students. And last Sunday, we encouraged our students to watch the service along with their families. This Sunday, which is March 22nd, I want to clearly with dates, depending on when you're watching this, we're going to encourage our students to do the same thing. Watch with your parents. In my house, I have 2 teenagers. My daughter watched it in her room because she didn't want to get out of bed on her phone, which is fine because she was watching. My son was sitting next to me on the couch. We were just pumped we can go to church in basketball shorts. And so we're watching and interacting and then having conversations about it after it was over. And what I did on our Instagram stories for our students is I kind of pushed out content of all of the points that Pastor Brian was sharing so that they could grab it and share it and be able to see it and kind of interact with it and stuff like that. So moving forward, beginning March 29th, which will be next Sunday, we're going to be launching a service for students online on a Sunday morning at 9 and 11. We're going to be hosting it on YouTube Premiere. All of the details aren't figured out yet. One of the things about this new reality is everyone's learning as we go. And so the one thing I can say is check our Facebook page. Parents will put information on there. Students will put stuff on our Instagram page. We'll put it on our Instagram so that you can know where to find us. And so our plan is to go live with a live service for students that will be premiered on YouTube Premiere starting March 29th. And we're going to be kicking off a series that's entitled, What Do You Do When You Don't Know What to Do? And so we really felt as a team that this is going to be great content for our students in this kind of unknown window of what's happening in their lives. You've got, and in student ministries, we have 6th through 12th graders. So we've got middle school students that are just pumped to not have to go to school for the next 2 weeks and who knows how long, I was talking with some seniors this week that their senior sports seasons are being canceled. Their proms are potentially being canceled. We were talking with students this week. Every high school musical was canceled, although no one did High School Musical itself. Note to music teachers, I'd like to see that.
Very good pun.
But all of this stuff is being canceled, and so we're just kind of working through that, and so that's the gamut that we're dealing with. So we're going to be going live with a service starting March 29th, and then we are working on figuring out how to get our small groups to be able to connect virtually outside of our Sunday morning service. And so for those of you who maybe you're not familiar with GTSM, our services Sunday mornings are the same length as the worship center service. They start with a service geared directly towards and specifically for students, and then they end with a 20 to 30 minute small group window where students are with small group leaders, grade-based, gender-based. We are working with our small group leaders. In fact, I have a call tonight with all of our small group leaders. We're going to start talking about, hey, how do we do this digitally? Can we use Google Hangout? What is the best way to do this? And so we are looking into those kind of platforms. And the one thing I would say to parents is we know that this can be a very isolating time. And even though our students have phones and they have the potential of being more connected than ever in the history of the world, it can still feel very lonely and isolated. And the one thing I would say to parents is, if just hear my heart on this, if you have a son or daughter who you would like to get connected and a small group leader hasn't reached out to them, we don't know what we don't know. And so what you can do to help us to make this really simple, go to our Facebook group, send us a message through our Facebook group with your son or daughter's name and grade and contact information, and I will have a small group leader. I've got dozens of small group leaders willing to reach out to students. In some cases, we don't know the student's information. Quite frankly, one of the things that we found as a church is our database isn't always up to date, right? I don't like going in somewhere and having to fill out information every time I go. I don't like having to give my information every time. And so sometimes you just fall to, like, if I get a new cell phone number, I don't think to tell everybody I got a new cell phone number. I just figure out what I have to figure out. You know, can I log into my Facebook? Can I log into my Instagram? Can I get my bank online? Yeah. And so we may not have accurate information, but if you've got a student and they're not, and you would like someone to connect with them, reach out to us through Facebook. We'd love for that to happen.
And we can also link to the GTSM Facebook page in the comments below here on Facebook, and we can just so that we can connect you guys to their page as well, so you can get connected with his team and help your student find a small group. Stay connected to a faith-based community.
Right, yes, and so our goal is to create, we've kind of started laying out what would a win be. And so in our minds, what a win is if every one of our students has connected with their small group once a week. And so we're figuring out how to do that in this new reality. And so have some patience with us and help us out in any way you can by letting us know that we can reach out to them. But that's what we're doing, and we're really excited. For parents, we're using Facebook to begin pushing out information about just things you should know about. So today we posted an article about fear and worry, like a parent's guide to fear and worry. This afternoon, you're going to see something posted out, a parent's guide to TikTok, because parents, your students are alone with their phones more than ever right now because they have hours during the day that maybe you might be there, you might not be there. And so we want to be able to enable you in any way we can.
Yeah, I mean, I think I personally plan on conquering TikTok. I'm going to become a dancing machine.
And if you don't know what TikTok is, you should.
And if by the way, if you have a middle school or high school student and you don't know what TikTok is,
look it up.
4 o'clock today, check out our Facebook page. There's a good parent guide. It'll let you know exactly what you need. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Are there any other resources or anything that our audience needs to be aware of at all?
Google. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I think that's it for us. We're working on connecting with students. We're working on connecting with our leaders. And our goal in this whole thing is that the thought that I had while you were sharing about the church is that the three of us right now are sitting in a quite frankly, a sanctuary worship center that holds 1,500 seats. And they're all empty because it's just the three of us here and a couple guys helping out with the tech. But the reality is this isn't the church, right? I mean, we are the church. And we talk about the fact that we have a church for students that's geared towards helping students. And so the idea is, how do we mobilize each other and reach out to each other and stay connected during this time?
Yeah.
And one of the things we've been talking about is this is going to be an incredible catalyst for our church. We're just so pumped for new ways to connect with students, and that's what we're doing.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so great. All right, so we know that your generation, they practically can entertain themselves, and they're more connected. Like
generation, in other words, my students.
The ones.
I am literally another generation from my students. They let me know that. Yeah.
Words. So the demographic
Yes.
you work with is a little different, right? Like kids, like you said earlier, they're not personally, I mean, maybe I see a lot of children walking around with iPads, but they're not necessarily connected the same way as students, right? So
Correct.
what are some resources that our kids ministry has available for the parents who have little kids at home?
Yeah, the main ways that GT Kids is communicating is really through our parent email and through our GT Kids Facebook group. So we're really pushing out podcasts and blogs and resources to our parents to really equip parents and resource parents with activities and videos and those kind of resources to set parents up to win at home, because we know that you are in the home and you're now 24/7 with the kids as they're home from school. So we really want to be able to give you a wide range of activities and things to do to keep those little ones busy, from preschool up through 5th grade. So we have videos that we usually can show on Sunday mornings. We're putting those out through our parent email. We are also pushing out some worship videos to put on for the kids. We have different blogs talking about how to talk about this pandemic with the kids, and also crisis guides and anxiety guides, and we have those for preschool all the way up through high school, and how to have those conversations with your kids.
Yeah, and those will be, we are currently as a church formulating a COVID-19 page for our church. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, sure. I was going to bring that up when she was done.
Okay,
but
so
yeah.
we've already been talking. In case you don't know, by the way, I've labeled Pastor Candy, the resource queen, because she is a whiz at finding resources. And so, but those are actually going to show up on our, what you just said, the anxiety guides will show up on our pages.
So it gives you a lot of conversation starters or questions to ask, because kids and students don't naturally just come up and say, hey, Mom, I'm really scared about, or can we talk about how many people are dealing with this in our community? They don't just come up and ask those questions. They show their symptoms of dealing with this in different ways. They might be pulling away, they might be acting out. So they just show that in different ways. So it just gives you ways to start those conversations with your kids, no matter what age group that you have in your home.
Yeah.
So we're providing a lot of those different resources in the parent emails. We're pushing those out on our social media platforms, and they'll be on this page on our website as well.
Yeah, so there's a lot of great ways for parents to stay connected. And as always, if throughout this process you need guidance, you are looking for ways to, because we're dealing with two different things, right? We're looking at ways to keep ourselves entertained and motivated as individuals and growing together spiritually. But we are also looking as parents for ways to have this difficult conversation with our kids. So if you need additional resources, please, like they were mentioning, follow their Facebook page, pages, Instagram. I mean, social media right now is the best resource to stay connected with all three of us, the main church, the students, and the kids. So we definitely recommend follow along on Facebook. We'll post a link in the comments to each of your Facebook pages as well. But as Scott mentioned, and I know now you also briefly mentioned, we are working on a COVID-19 coronavirus resources page that will be live on our website, hopefully by the end of today. So we recommend that you continue to check back on our website. These resources will be updated regularly, and it'll be a one-stop place for you to find resources as a church, resources for students, and resources for kids, and also where you can go to find some helpful information and stay up to date on what is happening in our community. And what a timely thing too, I just thought back in January, we took some time to study wisdom. And read through the book of Proverbs. If you missed any of that, I recommend you go back and watch our wisdom series as well, because it is super helpful in a time like this as well. So as you guys can see, we do have a ton of resources available for you guys, and we want to serve you well as your church. We want to make sure that as a community, we are staying connected and just stay connected to each other, because like Scott mentioned earlier, it is really easy to start to feel isolated in a situation like this. So please make sure, again, visit our website. If there is a way that we as a church can pray for you right now, please comment below. There's also a prayer request form on our website. I highly recommend you go there and submit your prayer requests there. We do have a pastoral care team who is fielding all of those prayer requests. We have our staff on call for prayer. We are still practicing our staff prayer every Tuesday at 11. So we invite you to join us every Tuesday at 11 a.m. wherever you are, to stop for an hour, lift people in prayer, reach out to people. We know that there are a lot of communities right now, like the healthcare community, a lot of nurses, a lot of doctors who are just working a lot of hours, and they are experiencing a lot of difficulty as well. So we recommend you lift them up in prayer, reach out to them.
Can I interrupt and clarify something?
Yeah.
We are having staff prayer at 11 on Tuesdays, but not together.
Right, yeah, we're not in the building doing it together, but we are where we are every Tuesday at 11, joining together in prayer. So just a reminder, we do have our website. We have our Facebook page where you can stay connected with us. We also do have an app, so if you haven't already downloaded that, please feel free to go ahead and do that. And on the app, you'll find all of the resources you need as well, links to our website, ways to give, and also ways to stay connected, our links to our podcast, ways to listen, all of that stuff, ways to watch. And then we do have our podcast, so feel free to download that, listen to our sermon series. It's going to be really great. And I just want to also take a second and say that we wouldn't have any of these resources available if it wasn't for your faithful giving.
That's right.
And during this time, I know that there are a lot of us who are feeling stressed out. There's a lot of unknowns. But I want to, from the bottom of my heart, and I know it's from the bottom of your hearts, to say thank you for your faithful giving.
Absolutely.
Because we are able to stay connected with you as a community as a result, a direct result of your giving. And during this time, if you are able, we do still have ways for you to continue with your tithe, to continue with your giving. You can do that on our app. You can do that on our website. There's a link at the top of our homepage that says give. And you can also do that through text, which we will post and share with you guys as well. But again, if you're able to, that's definitely appreciated. But us being able to do this with you right now is a direct result of that faithful giving and the resources that we have available to stay connected. Again, a result of that faithful giving. And I am just so humbled and honored to be able to be stewarding those resources with our teams that we have here at GT Church, stay connected as a community. So I'm going to put you guys on the spot because we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to put you guys on the spot. What is one final piece of advice that you would like to share with our viewers today, or a word of encouragement?
I would just say to remember Psalms 46:10, where it says, "Be still and know that I am God." I've just been meditating on that today because we need to remember that God is in control, and it's a lot of times we default to ourselves and we want to try to fix things and we want to know what is coming next, and we just need to lean into him and just remember that he is God and he has got this.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, so I've been watching on repeat a YouTube video called The Blessing from Elevation Church, and it's a worship song that Carrie Job and their team and both teams together, right? And it talks about may his blessing be on your children and their children from generation to generation. And I think for me, what I'm thinking in this time is like, God's not finished. He hasn't forgotten. We're in his boat, right? And so, yeah, some of the temporary things we're dealing with are frustrating, but I also wonder, for me, it's always all about perspective. Okay, if I put this into perspective, okay, we've been asked to quarantine for this many days. Okay, great. This is the reason we do this is because it benefits us long term. And so if we can begin to look at our situation through God's lens of not that it is punitive, but rather that it's an opportunity. I mean, I have an opportunity to be home with my kids. I have an opportunity to say, hey, one of the things that you shared earlier that was jogging my mind is, you mentioned to adults to say, hey, you could watch this throughout the week and you can keep interacting with devotions throughout the week. What kind of conversations, parents, are you having with your kids about that throughout the week? Are you asking your students, hey, once we go live with our YouTube premiere stuff, it's going to be posted, and you can go to our YouTube page and you'll be able to watch it anytime. Hey, what was that about? What did you talk about? And be able to open conversations. Yeah. My family ordered a game this week that's a really long, intensive. It's going to take a long time to get through, and we ordered it because my wife the other night said, hey, why don't we order a game? I saw some families post on Facebook about doing puzzles together. Yeah. Like the idea of coming together, I think that's what I've been really focused on right now. And the idea that God has a plan for this whole thing, and it's going to bless us.
That's right. And more than anything right now, I feel like we're being stretched. And God is revealing to us all of these incredible ways that we can stay connected. Because it's easy when life is easy. It's easy to just get caught up in the mundane and the similar, like the familiar, right? And you just keep doing the same thing every day because you can. And in this moment right now, I feel so blessed to feel stretched, to be thinking about how we can continue to be the church in a different way and continue to bless others. A lot of people are stepping out and offering to go grocery shopping for people who can't. And I can't help but to feel inspired watching how people are responding to this in such positive ways when it's so easy to get caught up and be suffocated by negativity and fear. And so I'm just very much in awe of seeing God in this, all of it, regardless, and just watching him stretch us. And so I encourage you to embrace that. Things are going to look different, but the word remains the same. God is the same. He is steadfast, he's powerful, and he's loving. And he did not give us a spirit of fear, right, but of power, love, and self-control.
Yeah, and ultimately, we've been saying this from the start. The reason our programming has been changing isn't because of fear, it's out of love.
That's right.
It's out of caring for, we want to minimize this as well as everyone else does. And so, yeah.
And we're doing as much as we can to stay connected with you guys. So keep following us on Instagram, on Facebook. Make sure you're visiting our webpage regularly. As I mentioned before, the resources are going to be updated regularly. And so to ensure that you have the most up-to-date information and resources for you and your family and your friends during this time. Thank you guys so much for joining us this afternoon. It was really great to see you all. See what I did there?
So
does this count as social distancing? If we're brought.
Oh, you're definitely socially distanced from anyone who's watching. Yes.
All right. Yes. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you have any questions, prayer requests, or any questions about your giving, please submit them on our website by choosing Contact Us or selecting prayer requests, and we will continue to see you. Join us this Sunday, 9 a.m., 11 a.m. Pastor Scott Kramer and Eric from Kutztown will be preaching on week 3 and 4, technically, of our Handcrafted series. We will see all of you then.
Bye-bye.